So let's start with the big question. What does it really mean to adapt in combat, or even just in life? I always come back to that Daoist idea of Wu Wei, effortless action. It's like instead of forcing your way through, you flow. Bruce Lee said it best. Be water, my friend. Water doesn't argue with the rock. It just finds a way around. I remember after failing my black belt test, twice, mind you, I was so stuck on proving myself, on getting every move perfect. But the more I tried to control the outcome, the stiffer I got. It wasn't until I let go of that ego, really leaned into the moment, that things started to shift. Suddenly I could see openings, feel the rhythm, and adapt my strategy. It was less about fighting and more about, dancing with the situation, if that makes sense.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Nikki. I think about my own journey, moving from country to country, never quite knowing what the rules were. You learn to read the room, to sense the undercurrents. In combat, it's the same. Sun Tzu said, all warfare is based on deception, but I'd add it's also based on perception. You can't just bulldoze your way through. The best fighters, the best strategists, they're the ones who can shift gears in real time. It's not about having a plan and sticking to it no matter what. It's about having a plan, then throwing it out the window the moment reality changes. That's true adaptation.
And isn't it deliciously paradoxical? The more you try to control, the less control you have. I think of adaptation as a kind of surrender, but not the weak kind. It's the surrender of the river that carves the canyon, relentless, patient, utterly unstoppable. And Nikki, your story, failing, letting go, then finding your own rhythm, that's the real alchemy. It's not about being the strongest or the fastest. It's about being the one who can dissolve and reform again and again. That's where the magic is, in combat and in the mess of daily life.
Exactly, Eden. And I think for anyone listening who's ever felt stuck, whether it's in a fight, a job, or just a rough patch, there's something so freeing about realizing you don't have to force it. Sometimes the best move is to pause, breathe, and let the next step reveal itself. That's the heart of adaptation, isn't it?
Let's get a bit technical for a moment. There's a whole science behind this, right? The brain's sensoromotor cortex is constantly processing what's coming at you, sights, sounds, even the tiniest shifts in your opponent's weight. Mirror neurons, those little devils, fire up when you watch someone move, letting you predict what they'll do next. And it's almost like your brain is running a simulation in real time. I remember a Hapkido seminar, must have been 2024, where the instructor just kept throwing curveballs. 1 minute you're drilling a wrist lock. Next thing you know, someone's coming at you from behind. It forced us to stop thinking in patterns and start reacting to the moment. That's where the real learning happened.
Oh, I love that. It's like the body and brain are in this constant conversation. Timing is everything. If you're even a split second off, you miss the window. And distance too. I always tell my students, if you can touch them, they can touch you. It's about managing that space, reading their intent before they even move. And then there's redirecting energy, judo, aikido, even Brazilian jiu-jitsu. They all teach you to use what's coming at you, not just block it. It's almost poetic, the way you can turn someone's force into their undoing.
Poetry in motion, truly. And let's not forget the art of the counterattack. There's something almost mischievous about it, waiting, watching, then striking at the exact moment your opponent commits. Jeet Kune Do's stop hit, or the way a BJJ artist will bait you into overextending, only to snare you in a trap. It's a dance of anticipation and surprise. And John, your story about the unpredictable seminar reminds me that the best lessons are the ones that catch us off guard. That's when adaptation becomes instinct, not just theory.
Absolutely, Eden. And it's not just about physical technique. There's a psychological layer, reading patterns, disrupting rhythms, even feinting to provoke a reaction. Sometimes you're not just fighting the body in front of you, but the mind behind it. That's where the real chess game begins.
And that's what makes it endlessly fascinating, isn't it? Every fight, every opponent is a new puzzle. The science gives us the tools, but it's the art of adaptation that brings it all to life.
Let's talk about the real-world tactics, the ones that make legends. Muhammad Ali's rope-a-dope against Foreman, for instance. He let Foreman exhaust himself, absorbing the blows, then turned the tide when it mattered most. That's adaptation as both art and provocation. There's feinting, provoking, shifting styles mid-bout. Sometimes it's not about being unpredictable, but about making your opponent predictable to you. But here's the rub. Where's the line? When does smart strategy become manipulation? Is it still noble if you're playing mind games?
That's a tough one. I mean, Sun Tzu would probably say all's fair in war, but in martial arts, there's an ethical code. You want to win, sure, but not at the cost of your own integrity. I've seen fighters push psychological tactics too far, taunting, baiting, even exploiting a less experienced opponent's nerves. It can cross into something ugly if you're not careful. In self-defense, the priority should always be de-escalation, not domination. Adaptation is a tool, but it comes with responsibility.
I agree, John. There's a difference between reading your opponent and trying to break them. The best martial artists I know use adaptation to protect, not to humiliate. And in the real world, especially in self-defense, it's about ending the conflict safely, not proving a point. That's where ethics and strategy have to walk hand in hand.
And yet unpredictability is its own kind of shield. In self-defense, I like to think of it as weaving a little poetry into the chaos, disarming assumptions, refusing to play the role your opponent expects. Sometimes, the most adaptive move is to become a riddle they can't solve. That's my Sappho-esque approach. Be the question, not the answer. But always, always with a sense of responsibility. Adaptation is power, but it's also a promise. To yourself and to the world you move through.
Well said, Eden. Adaptation is what keeps us alive in the ring and out. But it's the way we use it that defines us. So I think that's a good place to leave it for today. Though, as always, there's so much more to explore.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everyone. Keep flowing, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time on Reflections Unfiltered.
Until next time, stay unpredictable and a little poetic. Take care, John, Nikki.
Goodbye, Eden. Goodbye, Nikki. And goodbye to all our listeners until the next round.